So I'm gonna start with Kylie's question, but in Dizzle, I'm gonna layer your question on top of hers. So Kylie, your question was, how do I get my puppy to stop biting me? So I guess I gotta ask, are we handling our puppy a lot? Are we trying to give them a lot of affection? Because some puppies, they're just not into getting a ton of affection. I can tell you right now, my dog, not interested. No interest whatsoever. I give her love, she'll make a big sigh and then leave the room and go lay on her dog bed. My girlfriend's dog, Lady, completely interested in affection. We give her love, she'll sit there for probably 2 hours and take it the whole time. However, maybe we're just dealing with some puppy biting. I don't see it in age, so the age does help, guys. So age, breed, like temperament, that all really helps us when we're answering these questions. But maybe we just have a puppy that likes to bite. That's pretty common as well. So if I have a puppy that just likes to bite, they go out of their way to do it, I'll put a leash on the harness, and anytime they go through that moment of biting, I'll try to extend out my arm with the leash and create a little bit of space using that arm. I also have body blocking, which is like stepping in firmly, but one of my foolproof methods is my 3-strike rule. Strike 1 is a firm no, toy, yes, my mask is my toy, redirect to the mouth, get them interested in that, kind of just drop it, stand back, and let them keep going on the toy. So that's the easiest way to redirect them. However, sometimes you have to address it. Addressing it means doing a firm no, this is strike 2, firmly stepping in. So if this is me, this is my dog stepping in, no, dog backs away. A lot of times that spatial pressure is gonna make your dog back off and settle momentarily. So it's a firm step in, stand like a tree, hands up by your chest. If the hands are down by your legs, they're probably still gonna jump and nip at your fingers. And anytime you're doing that, you can also layer on using the leash. Firm step in, no, use that leash and kind of push them away, create some space, let the puppy settle. Once puppy settles, relieve the tension, stand like a tree, calm, and then move on. However, sometimes even strike 2 doesn't work. Strike 3, that means strike, they're out. So strike 3 is simply taking all that big, neutral, no energy whatsoever, calm, relax, pick them up, put them in their crate, close it, lock it, walk away. But I know a lot of you are asking yourselves, but Sparky, I thought crate was never supposed to be punishment. And you're right, you're absolutely right. It's not supposed to be punishment. It's all about your emotion, your energy when you put your dog in the crate. If you're feeling frustrated, you're feeling angry, and that's showing to your puppy, they're gonna be like, whoa, this crate thing is kind of scary now. We're not really sure about it. That's why I say from the neutral, no emotion whatsoever. That no emotion is how you then put your puppy in the crate, and they're kind of like, I'm not really sure what happened. They don't make the connection that they're nipping too much, but what you get from them is they relax and settle in the crate, and we don't bring them out until they do. 10, 15, 20 minutes, or 30, 40, an hour. It really depends on your puppy. If they spend 20 minutes barking and are really frustrated, they're gonna spend a little bit longer in the crate. All that crate does is give them a timeout. It lets them settle and relax, so then maybe 30, 40 minutes later when you bring them out of the crate, they're more calm and they're more relaxed. I see a question on Instagram. Does it relate to the question?
They just joined and wanted to know what we were talking about.
We are talking about whenever a dog nips at the hands. So was it nipping at hands? Yeah, just how do I get my puppy to stop biting me? So this is like the frustration puppy, nipping at the hands, or even just puppies communicate with their teeth. So it's their way of being like, hey, this is good, right? You like this, right? You play with the toy like this, so you must like it on the hands too. We teach them a different way of communicating, and that's not through their mouth, it's through body language. All right, from Indizzle. So this is me layering it on. 5-month-old mini Goldendoodle. How do we get him to stop growling and trying to bite my kids? So this is a little bit different, guys. This sounds like frustration when your puppy's in. The growling is one of the first signs that my puppy's getting frustrated, and kids can push puppies a little bit. Sometimes they want to hold them and love them and play with them, but sometimes puppies need space. They need distance from kids. So one of the easiest ways to help your puppy and your kids is by doing either place training and creating a boundary around place, not just for your puppy that they can't get off, but for your kids that when puppy's on place, no one can touch puppy. Puppy's on their own doing their own thing. Playpen also helps, and if that boundary is still being crossed by your kids, try even doing crate. Puppies don't always want to be held, and this kind of tags back to what we did with Kylie in her question. Puppies don't always want to be touched or held. Most of them can only handle being given affection for about 4 or 5 minutes before they go to that nippiness. My dog, she does that loud groan, and then she leaves the room to avoid me, so I stop giving her affection. Every dog is different. Some puppies have a high threshold for attention and affection. Some puppies don't. So my biggest piece of advice is tell your kid to stop petting the puppy, and you have the leash on the puppy with that leash tied to your hip, not their hip, your hip. So when the puppy tries to go bite them or nip at them or growl at them, I have a feeling it's probably just frustration, not actual aggression. You have control of the situation. You pull the puppy away, you walk away, or you tell the kids, hands up like a tree, ignore the puppy, puppy settles down a little bit, and then they kind of leave the room or they go about what they're doing. So just try to redirect that frustration into something more positive. And the puppy can't handle themselves, great. That was a good one, that was long. All right. Next, from Cleopatra, I like it. Should I leave my 7-month-old cockapoo in covered crate when I leave her home alone? I think it's a great idea. Anytime I leave, I still crate my dogs. One of them goes into the crate, one of them goes into our bedroom. She pretty much just hangs out in her dog bed at the bottom, at the foot of the bed. But she's also 8, 9 years old. Our other one's about 6, 7 years old. That one tends to get more anxious as well. And when she's not in the crate, she'll spend the whole time barking. I also have another piece of advice for you, Cleopatra. Anytime that you put your puppy in the crate and you cover it, try putting on some noise. You could do a sound machine. They have something called like a, I think it's like the bark box or sound box or something. I don't know. But it's basically a little square. Bark cube. It's a little square that literally has little chips that plug into it. And it makes a sound just repeatedly, over and over and over again, like a little classic music sound that just repeats infinitely until that thing dies. That's a great way of giving them something to hear and allows their brain to tune into something. Bethany, what's her favorite? Friends. She thinks all the dogs like, Phoebe. Phoebe's is the one that all the dogs like. That's a great way of giving your puppy something to tune into, focus on, and then it takes their mind away from needing to bark and get frustrated. So that's what I'd say for that one. I do like covering. I also like putting the crate in a quiet area. So I wouldn't put it in the living room where they're gonna hear all the street sounds. I'd put it in the farthest room from the most noise. Easier for them to settle that way.
Can you explain what covering the crate does?
Covering in crate cuts off one of their stimulus. So anytime a dog can see out of the crate, they're seeing birds fly across the window. They're seeing maybe us move around. They're seeing, I don't know, anything. Like if you have them by a window, they can see all the things outside the window. It makes so they can see light, they can see movement, and they're constantly stimulated. By covering that crate, you're taking away one of their main forms of stimulation, sight. Also makes it darker. Think about if you want to take a nap in your bedroom, you're probably not going to keep all the shades not drawn, all that light blaring in. You're going to cover all the shades, make it really dark. It's going to make it easier for you to go to sleep as well. Are we losing one of them?
Just about to feel good.
Okay. That was a really good follow-up. Thanks, Ricky. All right. M. Scott, what does 2 weeks no affection actually look like? This is a hard one, guys. This is something I knew we were eventually going to get asked, but it's easier for me to just tell you 2 weeks no affection. The breakdown is a lot more challenging. So 2 weeks no affection is exactly what it sounds like. It means no pet, no baby talk, no love, and even your praise is calm and regulated. So it's not good puppy. It's good. It's come, good treat. Sit, good treat. Heel, good treat. Think of your affection as being swapped out for food. So anytime you want to be like, good job, head pet, you're good food. It takes all of that separation anxiety that maybe they're feeling, or there's a lot of different reasons. It could even be over affection, which is why you're getting a lot of the nippiness and the growling at the kids. Eliminating that affection and teaching them to work for the food. It takes that affection, which is probably being overdone, and replaces it with work. So you balance out this affection and work drive. You find a happy middle, and then at the end of that 2 weeks, we slowly start adding it in. Maybe I'll do a 20-minute training session, and then at the end of the day, I'll do 3 or 4 minutes of giving them some pets on the couch, maybe like a quick little brush through, and when I start seeing them get fidgety, I'm like, okay, that's it. Put them on place, let them hang out. Affection isn't the first way that your puppy learns how to communicate. Communication is body language for them. So even just teaching them to follow you for food, you will build a much stronger working relationship, which then teaches your puppy to respect you as a leader, not just a sibling or a pack mate.
When would you suggest someone doing 2 weeks no affection? Is that
So,
for every puppy or in just certain circumstances?
honestly, I think every puppy could benefit from it, but we're gonna go with the curve a little bit more. So 2 weeks no affection isn't for everyone. It's mainly for puppies that are experiencing a lot of separation anxiety. They're very nippy, frustrated, even just pushy. Some puppies that are always jumping on you, nipping at you. You tell them something to do, they do the complete polar opposite, even though you're using your leverage like leash, harness, food, hand commands, verbal commands, body language. If you're doing all of the things that I've told you to do and Bethany's told you to do in the past and it's not working, try eliminating that affection. Some puppies feel like they demand your affection, they demand your respect, or you feel like they're demanding it from you. What they're not understanding is everything that they get is earned. It's kind of like we're taking what we have, we're letting them borrow it. Until they become adult dogs that have really settled into their place in the home, we want everything they have to be earned by them so that they're going to respect you as a leader. Otherwise, you become a sibling in a pack mate. It's almost like the dog is giving you obedience commands rather than the other way around. Oh, Bethany's sitting in her house right now listening to that. That's her favorite line. I took it from you, Bethany. It's mine. Was that a good breakdown, Ricky? Any other questions?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Oh, I'm going to leave this one for the very end because it saddens me a little bit. Okay, from Marie Cardona. How can I get my pup to like his crate? He will not go unwillingly. I noticed you suggested napping in crate, but since I work from home, my pup likes to sleep at my feet under my desk. Is this concerning? Am I creating a bad habit? And should I be moving him to the crate? So, laying under your feet. I mean, I have nothing against it unless you have a puppy that's already developing separation anxiety or needing to be a little bit spaced away from you. However, I think there's better ways to do it. A puppy that lays under your feet is constantly connected to you. So when you leave later on, or you have to start going back to a physical location for work, I don't know really what your work situation is, but I can give you an example. When COVID was at its full swing, facility shut down for a little bit, I was home with my dog all the time. I did work from the kitchen. I had her laying by my feet the whole time. And when I had to go back to work, I started getting some howling. This is a 9-year-old dog that's literally been trained more than any dog I know. But separation anxiety forms when you don't even realize it. So my ideal situation for you would be follow a structure schedule. Do a couple hours in crate, right when they come out of the crate, give them a chance to go potty on leash. And I know your puppy may not even be suffering from potty accidents or issues like that, but it's more about the structure of mom takes me for potty, mom does the feeding, mom gives the water, mom delegates what I do throughout the day. Getting them into that routine really helps them lock in, and it takes away from anxiety and gives them a sense of comfort, because animals like dogs are structured animals. They want a routine. They want something done the same way every single day. So take the puppy out for potty on leash, bring them inside. If they successfully go potty, then they come inside for free time. Free time, let's say we give an hour block or a 30-minute block of free time. Free time isn't freedom to just roam the house and do whatever they want to do. Free time is structured, just like everything else in our puppy's life. I'll do 10-15 minutes of a walk or play, something to get that big energy down. 10-15 minutes of training, so even just throwing the toy and getting the fetch and then asking for a sit and a down at the end, or doing your relationship building exercise, which is like dog come, good treat, 10-20 times, or even just asking for a sit. Anything that you do is training. It works through that mental stimulation. And then my final part of my free time is supervised separation. So this is kind of what you're doing, except instead of your puppy laying by your feet, I recommend getting a place cot. It's something that's elevated off the ground. It's a more substantial boundary for your puppy to be in. Or just get a dog bed. Instead of having it under your desk, put it off to the side of your desk. If your puppy who's already built up the habit of laying by your feet consistently leaves the bed to come lay by your feet, tether him to the bed. Tether something, a kettlebell, a 30-pound kettlebell, tie the leash around it, put it clipped to a harness, and only make the range of that leash the dog bed. So instead of him being able to lay under your feet, he builds up independence, confidence of being by himself, 2-3 feet away from you. I think that's really valuable. A lot of owners don't even think about that because that we want the companionship of our dogs, and I'm okay with that, but I think they need to build independence and confidence before we allow them to give us that companionship. Otherwise, I do my business is service animal training, and a lot of my owners fall into a routine of my animal provides companionship for me, and they're my comfort animal, but eventually they can't work for you, they can't help you if they have separation anxiety from you. So we need to give confidence to a dog before we allow them to fully become the companion animal that we want for the rest of their lives. Ooh, that was a big one. Let me make sure I checked off all my boxes. Is this concerning? No, just make sure that you're not developing routine that's going to lead into a bad habit, which is separation anxiety. And should I be moving him to a crate? Only if he gets to his actual crate time. So 2-3 hours in the crate, 30 minutes to an hour out of the crate. The end of that hour, move him into the crate. Otherwise, you can do your 3 routines. And that triple part of that free time doesn't have to be locked into stone. Some of us are working from home. We don't have time every 3 hours to take our dog out for an hour and work with them for 30 minutes. Just try doing 5-minute walk to go potty, maybe a little 10-minute training session, 5-minute training session, and then do that place routine. Putting him on the dog bed, letting him hang out for 30-40 minutes. And then at the end of that, put him in the crate. It's still important for him to get separation and distance from you. How am I doing on time? Doing good. So you guys, I talk really fast when I don't have Bethany to regulate me. I just get into the routine. I'll have Ricky over here kicking me in a second. All right, there was one more I wanted to go over. Okay, M. Scott. Welcome back, M. Scott. How to stop barking at night in crate in general. Can't always ignore, gonna be kicked out. Sorry to hear that, M. Scott. I think that is always a challenging one. So I'm gonna break this down as far as I can, but in the end, you might even find a lot of benefit in hiring some kind of behavioral modification trainer. So it sounds like your dog's dealing with some anxiety, and they might benefit more from dealing with a trainer one-on-one who's able to come into your home and kind of adjust the lifestyle that you guys have. But I think a lot of what we already talked about is gonna help you. 2 weeks no affection. If your dog is barking that severely in crate, it sounds like maybe there's other categories of the dog's life that maybe they're getting too much affection. So then going into the crate, think of it as if you were to get a lot of praise as a child, you get a ton of praise and they're telling you how good you're doing, but then they say that you have to go hang out in your room by yourself for 2-3 hours and you don't really understand it as a young child. But instead, you kind of pull away from that. You tell them that they're doing good, you tell them to go do their schoolwork in their room and that they're gonna be okay. By minimizing affection, you might actually be able to get your puppy to relax a little bit quicker in that crate. Also, another routine, there was one more that I skipped. How do I get my puppy to go into the crate willingly? Do routine. So I'm sorry, we're pulling back to Marie Cardona's question, which is also gonna help M. Scott. Sometimes puppies assume that when they go in the crate, they're gonna be in there for a few hours. How do you get your puppy to like the crate? Don't just put them in the crate for long periods of time. Work them up to doing that by doing in and out of the crate 10-15 times in a row. Food for every time they go in, the break, their reward is coming out. Do that 10-15 times. Dog house, good treat. Oh, we call crate house at Pup Academy. Dog house, good treat, break. Dog house, good treat, break. And some of our puppies may be a little bit putting on the brakes so they don't have to go in the crate. It's okay to use your leash, put a hand under the bum, kind of give them a little scoot in the crate. Gently, you're waiting for that moment till they walk in on their own. Use the door to create that boundary. Pause, slowly open it. Give the food, maybe they take it, maybe they don't, doesn't matter either way. Make them wait a couple seconds, open that door, use it as a spatial boundary. They try to come out, close it, open it, good, break, and then release them. By building up that, you're actually building up their confidence to want to go in the crate, and then maybe do it for a short duration, 10-15 minutes, release them from it. Build up to that couple hours. It can be stressful for a dog to go in a crate for a long period of time that's not used to it and is already exhibiting signs of frustration and anxiety. Another alternative I have for you, if you're really getting that frustration in the crate, maybe use a playpen. I have clients that they live in apartments, they live in condos, and their HOA is crazy. They hear barking, they get kicked out, they get fined. In those situations, I'll say really tire your puppy out, do a lot of physical exercise, not before bed, but like an hour before bed. Then before bed, do some mental exercise. Do a couple crate routines. Do in and out of the crate for 10 minutes. Do come sit down, stay for 5 minutes. Do place break for another couple minutes. And all these routines you can honestly find probably on our YouTube channel. Tire your puppy out. So by the time that they're about to go in crate, I'll give them maybe 10-20 minutes on place. They learn how to settle, and then I get them into the crate, close it, cover it, and see how they do. I'm not saying it's gonna be perfect, but you may be able to resist for 10-15 minutes of that barking. They're already mentally and physically tired, and they relax and go to sleep. My technique whenever we move into a new place, I buy about 5 to 10 cheaper bottles of wine, maybe $12, $13 bottles of wine, and and I go deliver it to all of my neighbors. And I say, hey, we're crate training in a new place. It can be a little bit stressful for a dog. Please bear with us. And that night that you're thinking about calling the cops on us, pop that bottle of wine. That's on us. Do yourself a favor. All right. That's all the questions I have, Ricky. You got any more for me?
I always have questions for you,
I
Sparky.
love it. It looks like we had a couple come in over here.
No,
TikTok's
just
a
people
little bit
saying
dark.
hi.
Oh, hi.
Okay, so I want to follow up on the crate stuff. How long do you let a puppy bark or cry in their crate before you check on them or try to interrupt that behavior?
Oh, that's difficult. So for apartment living, I think I might only be able to do 20, 30 minutes of letting them bark it out before I'll go in there. And I'm like a silent assassin. I don't make a lot of noise, like thunk the door open, walk in loudly. I'm quiet. I creep in like a cat. And then out of nowhere, here's my crate, not dog, crate. I'll come up, hey, hey, hey. Tap the top of that crate. They're in there, surprised by it. We call it disagreeing with the behavior. When you disagree with the behavior, sometimes, not all the time, you can disrupt the bad behavior, and then it kind of gives them a chance to reset and settle. For less anxious dogs, that will work. For more anxious dogs, maybe not so much. But no, I'm gonna tag one more thing on top of that too. For dogs that do a lot of barking, and Scott, for your dog that does a lot of barking, I don't know what your living situation is, but I've had people that have walk-in closets, put their crate in the middle of a walk-in closet, and they actually get soundproofing blankets to put near the door and along the walls. It's a really great technique to minimize some of that sound, not just for your neighbors, but actually more for your puppy. Puppies that hear a lot of noise, constant hearing stimulate, whatever the, constant audible stimulation, visual stimulation, and even just knowing that you're home, that creates anxiety. Block out some of that. They hear less, they see less, it's darker, and it's easier for them to go to sleep. You might be able to get them to settle a little bit quicker. Walk-in closets are great for that. Don't put them free in the walk-in closet. I'm sure you have nice clothes that might get ruined. In the crate, in the walk-in closet.
So Carol's back. She's got a question.
Let's hear it, Carol. I'm ready for
All right.
it.
Hi, Carol. 7-month-old Goldendoodle lays down on walks for every dog he sees coming. He loves all dogs. Makes it hard to take a walk. Any suggestions? I think we went over this a bit last week, but
We did.
go
So we're going to tag in this one. You can also check last week's video. We did go into a little bit more detail. So whenever I have a dog that lays down on a walk, that means that, let's go over threshold first. So what is a dog's threshold? A dog's threshold is basically the buildup it takes before they hit a point to where either they start barking, they lay down, they begin pulling, they get anxious, whatever it is. That's their threshold. So when your dog lays down on the ground, he's hit threshold. So you need to work him below threshold. And what that means is, let's say that I see the dog turning the corner. My dog sees the dog turning the corner. I know I got maybe roughly 20, 30 more steps or feet before we get to that dog, and that's where my dog lays down. I'm already using a treat, putting it on the nose. 7-month-old puppies can be a little bit more pushy, maybe even use like a slip lead or a martingale collar to get control over that head. And I'm already turning the opposite way using leash pressure, head guidance, food to redirect my dog away from that situation, or move them off to the side, ask them for a sit, and use food to try to keep that attention. If food doesn't work in that situation for some dogs, a lot of dogs honestly it probably won't, then try to just move off to the side, keep control. You can even use spatial pressure, body blocking, which means that if my dog is here, here's the other dog, I put myself, I put myself in the middle. My dog tries to go this way, I block. Tries to go this way, I block. I'm putting myself in between. Eventually, your dog is gonna get frustrated enough to where they take a step back, sit, and they look at the thing blocking them. That's you guys. The minute they look at you, good, head pat, food, whatever you're doing, whatever works best for your pup.
And let us know how it goes.
Let us know how it goes.
Follow up. All right, for Hales, do you have tips for stopping resource guarding in a 5-month-old puppy? She's fine with her food, but gets grouchy with some toys or treats.
So treats, normally that's like bones and stuff. I would say one, eliminate all bones. I'd say that also you're not really dealing with a puppy issue anymore. You're dealing with a behavioral issue. So I'd also say that if you have young kids or you guys are really struggling with this on a daily basis, you need to call a dog trainer. You need to get someone to come over, and not an obedience trainer. That's not going to cut it. You need some kind of behavioral modification trainer. They deal more with what you're dealing with. I think also just dealing with Will you read it to me one more time? I feel like I'm missing a part of it.
Do you have tips for stopping resource guarding in a 5-month-old puppy? She's fine with her food, but gets grouchy with some toys or treats.
Yeah, I think you just need a little bit more structure. No free toys. All the toys are in a basket on top of the fridge. You're the one that gives toys, and at the end of every play session, you remove that toy and you put it back. Also, anytime you're playing tug of war, you need to win every single game of tug of war. We have a couple of videos. It was on YouTube, Instagram,
TikTok, Instagram.
It's on everything apparently. Watch those videos. It was a me playing tug with, I think it was Finley or Blanton or one of them. And every time that he pulled, I kind of anchored my arms. The minute he let go, good, sit, break, and I gave it back. But for a puppy that's already resource guarding, I'm gonna try to keep my hand on that toy at all times. So then it's not me reaching for a toy that my puppy is resource guarding. It's something that I'm always holding and I'm letting my puppy borrow for a short period of time. When I'm ready for my puppy to let it go, I lock in my elbows, hold tight. The minute my puppy lets go, good, block, sit, puppy jumps, no, block, puppy settles, good, break, and give that toy back. But yeah, I think your biggest piece of advice, hire a behavioral modification trainer. I think it's gonna benefit you a little bit more than obedience trainers.
All right, TikTok question.
TikTok.
My dog doesn't intentionally hurt us, but he jumps on people. I tell him down, but he doesn't listen. Any suggestions?
Leash. So I'm guessing this is probably inside the home because I'm guessing on a walk you'd be able to already pull that leash back. So 2 things. The people coming over make a big deal. If a person comes over and they're like, puppy, and they jump on the floor and your dog jumps on them, that's not the dog's fault, guys. That's the people's fault. So you got to help mitigate the people's energy. However, if you have people coming over and you've already told them not to give a lot of affection, stay calm, stand like a tree, ignore the dog, no look, no touch, no pet for a while, and the dog is still jumping, then that's your job as owner to use the leash and hold your dog back. A lot of times, if it's on a harness and it's a really big dog, you're going to feel like you're fighting a tidal wave. You don't really have a lot of control. Bethany always says, get control of the head. That could be slip lead, martingale. Make sure you have someone that can show you guys how to use it, like a professional dog trainer, and then properly guide him away from the guest. You could even put him in the crate for when the guests arrive. And I know sometimes it's hard. You have someone come, one of your friends like comes over sporadically. Hey, we're here, we're outside. Okay, give me 5 minutes. I need to put my dog away. And remember, when you guys come in, no affection, no eye contact, no touching, ignore him. We're teaching him how to coexist without always needing to be the center of attention because he likes to jump or bark when he is. So that's my easiest way. Mitigate the people, control the energy, block altogether if that's very challenging. What else we got?
That's it for the lives right now. Do you want one more question before
Give
we
me
wrap
more questions. How we doing?
We have
we
less
got
than a minute.
Give more questions.
I have a question about food.
Uh-oh.
So for owners changing up their pups' food, how's the best way to do that? What is the best way to do that?
We got less than a minute, Ricky. You
want
put
longer?
this in my ball? All right, you put this in my court? All right. So anytime you're switching up food, so if you're on the same brand of food, and registered dog nutritionist here, so I know quite a bit on this one. Anytime you're switching up dog food, if you're staying within the same brand, but you're just switching protein, then you don't have to go through this process. A lot of brands, like if I wanted Wellness Core, but I wanted to go from salmon to whitefish to venison to turkey, all it is just buying a new bag and then swapping it out. They all follow the same formula. The only thing different is the protein source. But let's say I want to go from Eukanuba or Iams and I wanted to move to, if you can't tell, I don't like those brands. Ricky didn't hear that. I want to go from Eukanuba or Iams to, let's say, Merrick or Natural Balance or Wellness or even like a raw food diet. I need to do a 10-day switchover. So day 1 through 3, I'll take 75% of the old food, 25% of the new food. Day 4 through 6, I'm gonna go from 50-50. So that means 50% old, 50% new. Day 7 through 10, 75% new, 25% old. Day 11 plus, 100% of the new food. A lot of the times people will switch foods constantly. It actually really upsets your dog's stomach and it can create digestive issues later on in their life or even right away when you're doing it. My biggest recommendation is if you go to a new food, you have a picky eater, you have a dog that just doesn't want to eat anything you give them, stick with the new food for at least 1 to 2 months. If you do the 10-day switchover, you have a month and a half to 2 months after that switchover to see if they'll eat it. Some of our owners that are just really saddened by the fact that their dogs didn't eat their food, it tends to create anxiety in them, and then eventually creates anxiety in the dog. It's just like same thing for water. My dog doesn't drink enough water, but you're hovering, you're helicoptering over your dog all the time. That creates frustration and anxiety and makes them less likely to eat or drink the water. So I would say do your best to just kind of stick with something for a while. If they don't eat the food, substitute it into their next meal. Don't always just keep throwing away meal after meal. Just kind of give them the same bowl, refrigerate it in between, give it back to them at night, throw it out at the end of the day, and just repeat the cycle. Unless you have a husky. It doesn't work with huskies. Only dog that I know that will literally go 2 weeks without eating, and that's incredibly unsafe. But most other dogs, shepherds, chihuahuas, Yorkies, whatever you have, doodles. Why didn't I say doodles? Everyone's got a doodle. They will eventually eat their food. Okay. Wow, that was fun. That was a lot of talking. It's exciting when it's just me. All right, guys. Thank you for joining us. Tune into the next show. And again, guys, any questions that you're posting, make sure to give us age, breed, temperament. All of it helps. And we're trying to focus really on the younger dogs. But if you have an older dog, throw in a question. We'd love to answer it. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us. Bye.